I'm a bit stressed out because of my job and Corona.
Yes.
Um, and I'm having troubles to be emotionally overall balanced. I mean, I try not to bring my emotions into the trading, but it's something that's more or less constantly there, which doesn't make me feel very good at all.
Got it. Because of the uncertainty, right? Mainly the
Yeah,
uncertainty of your job.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What do you do, if you mind me asking, Daniel?
I'm keyboard player in a band. We usually play quite regularly.
Oh, nice. Um,
Yeah,
what
and
instrument do you play?
keyboard and piano.
Oh, fantastic. Well, so in Germany, I guess they're more stricter over there than here, I'm assuming.
Um, I think it's quite different in the United States. I heard it's different from state to state. Yeah, but they are currently like, oh, we suddenly have more infected, but they don't say that they test more. And it's like, oh, there's another wave and we have to get stricter, blah, blah. Yeah, and there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, during the summer, we were lucky that we could play outside quite a lot, which helped. But now that winter is coming, and we usually more play for companies and stuff, yeah, things get really tricky.
I see, got it. Yeah, it's this COVID thing definitely is affecting everyone, um, which is a pain. Um,
Yeah.
so, but at least it gives you more time to work on this. Well, talking about you being a um, musician, do you trade more discretionally based on feeling, or do you trade both logically and analytically?
Actually, although I'm a musician, I would say I'm a very analytical person.
And okay, got it.
Yeah, and that's also what I do in trading. I mean, there sometimes are situations where it might be some FOMO, but I think the mistakes that I mostly do are just from misjudgment and not being meticulous enough.
Got it. Yeah, because interesting because most musicians they use more of the right side of the brain rather than the left side, right? Or the feeling when you're playing the piano, you're no longer basically like when a new person plays an instrument, you can tell it's telegraphing it like okay, A, C, like when they're playing the notes. But when you're playing in the actual band, you're now feeling as well in order to get in sync with the rest of the players. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, for me to perform well, it's really important to get into the vibe. Usually, when we have a great audience and all the musicians playing great, it's easy for me. But there are also some situations like, I mean, I have a bachelor degree in jazz piano. I had really lots of troubles to play in exam situations. This is where situations where I didn't get into my flow at all.
Mm. So in other words, to be in the zone, you get to need to be in the flow in order to perform well, correct?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Being in the zone or in the flow is quite the same for me. I think it's just different terms.
So that's the thing. How can you do the same when you're trading? How can you be on the with the flow or in the flow when you are trading? So can you describe when you're playing or when you're performing to be in the flow? So what does it feel like? If you're going to describe it, what would it be? Or what's the process? Number one, what's the process in order for you to be in the flow? That's number one. Um, in order to be in a performance state?
That's a really good question. Actually, I don't really have a process, and it's actually one of my my issues. I mean, sometimes the situation is just great, and when I'm in a flow, I think I'm less analytical about my playing, but I just do things.
Mm.
Um, there is a book by a famous piano player, something with mastery. I forgot the name.
Hmm.
And he talked about that people usually play best when they just stop caring about certain things and just do it. Usually, the more you analyze yourself and think, the harder it gets to perform well.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that is the key to basically everything, right? When you stop thinking, you're just doing it. Because everything is just based now on reaction and mainly more of trusting oneself that you can do it. So just imagine every single cell in your whole body based on who you are being confident, passionate, determined. So all these things that is in place where there's no fear, because when you have the confidence and you have the trust and ability to do it, there's no fear. Fear will only happen when you start thinking. Even a split millisecond of a thought could affect the whole emotional vibration of fear. That's why when you're trading, it's the same thing. Unfortunately, in trading, even 1 minute, you have 60 seconds of thinking. Um, Research has shown that the thought process, based on what we see, we are, in actual fact, delayed by half a millisecond. That's that's fast. At the same time, that's also slow because of everything has to based on what you see, what you hear, what you feel, and it goes into basically inside your brain and whatever chemicals as well you have in your brain, the lack of whatever as well. So everything needs to be fired up in order for everything to work. So that being said, if we stop thinking, and that's where the planning and preparation, and you said it right there, right? The meticulousness when you're playing, same. You need to practice a lot in order to be second nature to you in terms of whatever piece that you have to play. And if you're not well prepared, people will panic, you will panic, and you're not going to perform because you're not well prepared. But the more prepared you are, the better you're going to be, the more confident you're going to be. And it's like writing your signature, it just happens um, based on instinct. That's basically it. Instinct is based on intuitive process. That's simply what the body just simply does, what the brain simply does, and the body basically follows automatically, like walking, like running, like anything else. Hope that makes sense,
Mm,
Daniel.
yes. Actually, now that you talked, I think I just realized there's a certain fear of making bad decisions in trading
Hmm.
for me.
Yeah. What happens when you have those bad decisions? What are you really afraid of? Is it really being afraid of making decisions, or there is something behind that? And what is that
Mm,
something, Daniel?
no. I don't have problems with making decisions. It's just more like doing the wrong decisions because if I do a wrong decision, it costs money
Mm-hmm.
and I don't make any progress.
Exactly. And what's causing behind losing money, Daniel? What
Might
is
be a
really the root source?
of losing money.
Mm-hmm. Behind losing money? Because losing money is just the end result.
Hmm. Interesting. Can you say the whole question again, please?
So you said that you have fear of decision making, right? Or making decisions.
No,
And
no,
then
making bad decisions.
making bad decisions. And then the next question was, what is really behind making a bad decision? And it turns out to be losing money. So my next question is, what is really behind losing money? Because losing money is just the end result of your own actions.
That's a good question. I don't know if this is the right answer, but I have a thought like that I don't make any progress, that I'm stuck in life, not getting ahead, and
Uh-huh. And you just said it there once again. And you said, I don't know if this is the right answer. So listen to your own words. I don't know if this is the right answer. So, what is behind that statement of I don't know if this is the right answer?
uncertainty.
What else?
Maybe a lack of clarity.
What else? Because my question to you is there really such thing as right?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, there's thinking like if you make a good decision, you win. If you make a bad decision, you learn something.
You don't lose anything. Exactly. So think about it. How long have you been playing an instrument now?
Um,
Pretty much perhaps all of your life?
yeah, like since the age of 7, I think.
Exactly. Just remember being when you were at school, what is the normal thing that people want you to be?
In school?
Yeah. When you're learning the instrument. If you
When
make a mistake, what happens?
that very much depends on the teacher.
Exactly. And being in Germany, pretty much, I'm not going to profile, but Germans are very well structured. It has to be a certain way,
Yeah, it's
right?
true.
And not only that, in general, musicians, it doesn't matter where you go. I mean, the Chinese are very strict when it comes. That's why there are also a lot of violinists, good players coming from China. The thing is because the upbringing, they make a mistake, what happens? They're being labeled they're not good enough. You have to be perfect when you're playing an instrument. That's why imagine the amount of hours and practice you have to keep on doing it. And then, mind you, when you're playing, you want to be perfect. Now, the person who wrote that book, and you know it, that when you perform well is when you don't think, when you just let go, when you're just loving it, when you're just having fun in terms of the passion, feeling it. And it comes automatically on the way it should be. Because if you're forcing something, what happens? You're not going to perform well because you're forcing it the way it shouldn't be,
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty funny. I just yesterday I made a test to find out your top values, and I made a test, a different test 3 years ago, but actually in the test yesterday, my number one value was passion, and actually it's pretty strange. This is something that I don't have at the moment, which I'm looking for, and I really don't know how to get it back
Oops,
because I think
sorry.
this is
Let me.
something. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, because I think this is something that really defined lots of decisions I made in the past.
Exactly, Daniel. You have what we call the perfectionism aspect of it. You want things, everything to be perfect. Unfortunately, like trading and anything else, there's no such thing, because if you want to be perfect, then there's nothing for you to learn. You're
Yeah.
seeking the perfectionism of it. And that's what's causing you not to let or not to accept that losing is part of the game. That's what causes the fear for you to make bad decisions. And if that would be really the root cause, then meticulousness will be your driving factor, because you don't want to make bad decisions. Then you need to be meticulous. So there's also something behind the lack of meticulousness, because if you have the passion, you will be meticulous. If you don't have the passion, then there's going to be the lack of something, like the lack of responsibility, for example. Because if you're not meticulous, then that means you're not responsible. If you're not meticulous, then maybe perhaps you don't really want to make money. Because if making money is what you want to do, then you're going to be there no matter what. And you're going to be meticulous no matter what. You're going to be focused no matter what. You're going to be responsible no matter what. You're going to be disciplined no matter what.
Mm,
See
interesting.
how everything goes into those values. Passion, if passion is your number one value, the question is, you need to define what passion is. Because passion could mean anything different to different people. So to be passionate at something, there's an automatic motivation there, because it's passion. It's because you want to do it. It's not because you have to do it. It's no longer a need. It's a want, because you really want to. It's like, say, you being a musician. You've been doing it since 7. For sure, you did it because you wanted, because you loved it. It's not because someone forced you to do it. If someone forced you to do it, that's a different story. Then you won't be last. You won't be a musician right now, because
Mm,
someone forced you to, but nobody did. Perhaps you have really good supporting parents, but you have created certain limiting beliefs in yourself since you were a child, because whatever it is, depending on your teacher, someone may have been strict, someone may have been strict, but someone, if you want to be the best of who you can be as a musician, you will do anything, what it takes to be the best. That's why practice is important. Yes, it is important. I consider, because as an athlete, you want to be the best, you want to be number one, you got to practice. You want to be a very good trader, you got to practice. There's no easy way out.
mm,
Why? Because research has been shown that it definitely takes 10,000 hours on average to master a skill. It doesn't come overnight. Uh, in terms of trading is the same. We're looking at charts. We are looking, and not only that, the emotional factor of it. You gotta practice, and the more practice we do, the more, and then it's also the sense of feeling. That is something that the intuitive process, no one would be able to teach any individual except the individual itself. But the intuition, on the other hand, is going to be affected based on outside environment, stress. This is now where your work, your the thing that you do love. Trading is secondary; it's not primary, but you want to make it work because it's going to make you extra income because you have the time. But it's not like um, playing music. Just imagine if your passion will be the same as your work as a musician, and you apply that with trading, your results will change magnificently. It's a big G word, but I guarantee you that would happen. So, but the thing is that you need to accept that you cannot win all the time. That's just part of the game. That losing is part of the game. Likewise, when you're playing music, you're not going to be performing, well, it all depends. If you're practicing, can you perform at 100% on the peak level every time that you're playing? The answer is yes, but there are times that you're also, you got to be tired. There are times that you might make a mistake. For you, you might know it's a mistake, but for a normal listener, like like just for the norm, maybe it's not. But for a person who loves music, maybe they can pick it up and like, oh, okay, Daniel made a mistake there. But for the norm, like me, for example, you playing jazz, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. But for you, maybe it's not good because you know that it is not what's supposed to be. So that's what performance is, right? Um, it all depends on the way how we perceive our own sense of perception too, or perceive our own sense of performance. So maybe I would recommend to do a self-reflection this weekend, Daniel, and really have a look what you really need to work on, and part of your action plan for next week would be, okay, the lack of meticulousness. Why is it? What's causing me not to be meticulous? Maybe the irresponsibility, maybe the lack of discipline, maybe the lack of focus, maybe perhaps also take a break, maybe don't trade for the week, maybe just practice through a demo. Because if money is causing you a stress because of your uncertainty of your job, then that is also something how can you balance that, and also maybe perhaps accepting things the way they are at this point in time, because everything has a reason, there's a purpose. Maybe it's now time for you to look for different avenues. I don't know, maybe there's something, there's always a reason and you have to follow that. In terms of that reason, um, there's something waiting for you, perhaps. Maybe trading is the other reason. Maybe you've been playing for so long that you need to have a break. Who knows? That's where sometimes the universe will give us clues in order for us to keep working in terms of where we're supposed to be. I'll give you a good example. I'm sorry, Eric and Jared, I know you guys in the room, but I know this is a good example because it applies for everything. Um, I I know somebody, um, a friend of mine, and for the past how many years that I've basically known her, she wants to build her business, yet she has fear of the uncertainty as well. Sure, she just want to stick to her job, but I said, "You're so good at what you do. Why won't you do it on your own?" And I said, "Well, I need the security." Guess what? 2019, 2020 basically hit. After how many years? Finally, because of COVID, it forced her to work on her business. And now she earns more basically teaching online rather than her going and teaching basically at the gym. But her clientele, in terms of because she has a really good following because she's really good at what she does, um, and her basically database or her clients like exploded significantly because of COVID. And notice how the universe, all these things basically happens for a reason. To spend more time for her own business. Some will spend more time with their families. Some will be forced to be separated or have divorce, and the divorce rates actually here in the state of California increase massively, and I believe in the whole US or maybe perhaps even globally. Why? Because people who are married or who've been together, it becomes now the norm because they have their normal jobs. But when they're now stuck, they're now being forced either, number one, to work on their challenges and issues within marriage, or number two, they'll be separated or they get divorced because they're no longer having the same values, or they don't see things the way they are. They're just maybe perhaps, making things or the people pleasing side. And that's why the divorce rates increase a lot. So these things happens for a reason. When you lose money, that's also a sign, or it's because the losing is the end result of the action based on the being of who we are as an individual, based on our own values, based on our belief systems. Those are basically two things only, no more, no less. And that's the thing, is where we need to figure out, part of our own self-reflection is what's causing us to lose. Like, what's for me this week was a losing week, and no go for me. So do I feel stress? No. Do I feel any form of emotional? Yes, there's some form of, I need to, part of my self-reflection is, what did I do in order for me as a losing week? The things I did right is basically risk management, which is awesome. The thing that didn't work was going against simply the trend and the expectation. So did I follow every single thing in terms of what's happening? Absolutely. But what is keeping me alive is basically of the risk, but accepting that risk, the calculated risk. And I know for a fact the market is still out of whack, and there's a lot of divergence, and it's just a matter of time. Persistence is part of trading, because if you don't have persistence, you're going to quit. Only the person will quit or will keep going. And imagine, when you're playing an instrument, you don't get it right straight away. You got to keep on practicing. Just imagine how many times you have to practice. So if you don't have the ability to be persistent, you will quit. Am I right there? The same lines there, Daniel?
Yeah, but
Right?
usually you start as a child, and children have the great ability that they don't care if they make errors, not during
Aha.
elementary
Depends.
school.
Depends on the parents. I've seen it, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, I had rather problems with my homework. My mother was extremely meticulous and strict about my homework. But that was an issue for me playing piano, at least not in the elementary school.
Gotcha. Well, here in the Bay Area, I've seen where actually parents are just so, I don't know, they just push their own beliefs just because they weren't who they were, in the past, and they put it through their kids, and now the kids have a lot of pressure. And um, kids here in the Bay Area, man, like a few schools here, like, they kill themselves. Too much pressure, just the pressure alone. That's why for me, if I coach an athlete, I need to speak to the parents. If the parents are one of those pushy, I don't accept them as clients, because number one, I need the athlete to have fun. Because if the athlete's not having fun, then what's the whole point of me coaching them, or to, in regards to whatever they need to work on? Now, if they're just doing it just because the parents are telling them to, then it's not going to be fun for me. If the kid is not having fun, then I'm not going to have fun. So I always tell parents, like, I would love to take your money. I know you have a lot of money, but it's not worth my time. Basically, that's the bottom line, because the kid has to have fun. But if the parent is just so pushy, yeah, I'm upfront with the parents, and they can actually see them. So at times I do workshops for parents, because just a good reminder for parents to let kids be based on what they were supposed to, as part of their journey. Yes, as a parent, my job is just to guide my kids, giving them options, and it's up to them to choose. And I also tell them too, though, that part of that choice, then you need to be accountable on the effect of that choice. Likewise for trading, same thing. You have to be accountable that part of your decision making process is a choice. Once you buy, then there's that probability that you will lose. Then are you going to be okay with it? If you say yes, then there's no regret. If you say no, then there's going to be that regret. Definitely. 100%. So, yeah. I hope you got something away from that, Daniel.
Yes,
Basically,
absolutely.
from what I've seen, from what I hear from you, and when it comes to trading, it's a normal thing. Like, same thing. I have, I'm very competitive that losing is not an option. But you gotta accept it that I need to learn that losing is part of the game. Actually, if losing for me drives me to, number one, to either to be a better athlete or to be a better trader. If I lose, like this week, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna prove to myself that next week I'm gonna either double in terms of what I lost, or I know that I have to prove it to myself that I could do it, because that's my personality and that's just my style. That if I lose, I need to find a way to make it a winner, and hence meticulous as well. To go back to meticulousness, if it's got nothing to do about me and it's just the market, then simply put, I just accept it. The market is too strong, and this is where the word respect happens. We just, for me anyway, I just have to respect the markets. The markets are strong. I bow down to the market, and I'm just gonna say, I said, you know what? I give it to you. You won. That is it. And that's where now I am going against the market because I'm disrespecting the market. That's the only time I lose, when I disrespect the market. The market is what the market is. It will do whatever it wants to do, and that's the thing. That's part of the game. You got either be with it, and if you're not with it, just accept it and respect it. Cool. Anything else there, Daniel?
uh, no idea, maybe, but that was a lot of stuff anyway.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Eric, let's go with you. What didn't work for you, Eric, this week?
Um, so I'm not following my my calendar.
Okay.
Um, being waking up late, going to bed late, not resting when I need to, um, and I'm not getting in the market when I need to. I'm just getting in uh, way ahead.
Gotcha.
So
See, like your Aussie dollar yesterday, right? So you have an
yeah,
M3 to go along, and that's on a bigger time frame. It worked. I don't know if you left it, then if you left it, then you would have made money, right? Um,
yeah, it actually took profit at the end.
exactly. So perfect. So same thing. From what I hear from you, is it's the same with Daniel, right? It goes back to our own values in terms of the values of what the markets are basically. And mind you, and this is now where it's important to remember, I just want you to think that the market is your girlfriend, your wife, your partner, whatever you want it to see fit. You are in a relationship with the markets. The markets in general have its own values. You want to make money? Well, the market will be you need meticulousness. You want to make money? You need to be focused. You need money? You need to be responsible. You need to be disciplined. You need to follow through your word, through integrity. You need to be confident, because these are the values of the markets. Now, if you are not in sync with the values of the markets, like you're not in sync with the values of your relationship with the person you're going out with, guess what happens? If you're not in the same value system as them, will you be going out with your partner? Or do you think you will find a new one? Or do you think you'll have challenges, miscommunication, misunderstanding, disagreements, because your values are no longer in sync? What do you think? Based on your experience in your relationships. Am I
Uh,
am I on the right track in regards to what I'm saying here? I'll give you an
um,
example. If a girl wants to get married or wants to have a baby, that's part of her. That's what's important to her, is getting married or having a baby. What's not important to you, though, is not getting married or not having a baby. Now you have conflict. What do you think is going to happen?
um, I don't know. It can happen both things.
Either number one, both of you will no longer be in the same relationship, or number two, you will work it out.
Right.
Someone has to give in order to have the same values. What's important?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So likewise with trading, same thing. The market is wanting what? You, in order for the market to give you money, you need to be meticulous. You need to be disciplined. You need to follow through your word and have the integrity, the responsibility to be focused, passionate, determined, confident. The market will only give you money based on those conditions. So if you want the money from the markets, then you have to be in synchronicity in terms of what its values or in terms of its rules, based on what is important to the market. So you have to make that as an importance to yourself if you want the money from the markets. Other
Right.
than that, the market will not give you a single cent because you're not in sync with its own values. Does it make sense there, Eric and Daniel
Yeah.
and Jared? See how it links? Daniel, see the
Yep.
same thing, right?
Yep. Makes sense.
So these are your own set of rules that you have to abide by based on the rules of what the markets are giving you or what it wants. It's like a job, like a corporate world. You don't follow the rules of the corporate. The only difference is that they will sack you and you'll be unemployed and you lose your job. In trading, on the other hand, you cannot sack your own self because you're your own boss. Now, the market, on the other hand, doesn't know that you're in a relationship with it. You, on the other hand, knows that you are in connection with the markets, but the market doesn't care. It doesn't care less whether if you're gonna not be meticulous. It doesn't care if you want to slip in. It doesn't care if you want to be a perfectionist. It doesn't care, and it doesn't care whether if I am not disciplined and I'm not following through. The market doesn't care. It doesn't wait for you. It doesn't wait for anyone. That's how the market works, because the market is the market. It will do whatever it wants to do. But you want to make money, then you need to be in a relationship with the markets, where the markets, you need to abide on what the market wants. Now, same in a normal relationship. If you're expecting something as part of the expectation, see, I learned this the basically the hard way too. In terms of my relationships, if I have any form of expectation, it doesn't matter whether it be my girlfriend or my ex-wife or my kids or clients like yourself, friends. If I have too much expectation and I am not getting in terms of what I expect, then whose fault is it? It's not their fault. It's going to be my fault. So the one thing is that, which I'm going to be honest, is simply I have a high standard of my own values. Now, if I'm pushing my own standards, and this is why basic to my girlfriend, it's, imagine the amount of pressure that she's going to experience because she is no longer, and now she has to meet based on what my expectations are. So imagine the amount of pressure that she's going to have. Imagine if the same thing, that if I'm going to push my own values in terms to my kids, and what are they going to do? Oh, it's my daddy. I love my daddy. I need to do it, and I'm not longer letting them be of who they are supposed to be. Then for me, that is not fair, and I can see that it's not fair. So this is where the people pleasing happens, is because they need to be validated because they're not being within my own standards. When I got that, I'm like, holy craps. Why? Is because not everybody will have the same values. Same thing with my athletes at Stanford University or the high school private clients that I do have, that if I'm pushing my own set of values, it's not going to work, because I'm not letting them be who's supposed to, who they're supposed to be as an individual. Because in the past, I am very tough, like especially for sports, because I know what it's like to be at a world-class level, that if you're competing and you're representing your own country, that's a big ball game. And just the amount, just the mentality alone, you're the best, screw you, man, I'm better than you. You have to have that mentality, because you don't have the mentality, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to make it. So in trading is also the same. I get competitive. I will perform well if I know that I have someone that I need to compete against with. But other than that, if it's just me, yeah, I'll just do whatever too. And that is where, your own set of values, that you're the only person that would know. And if you have that high standard, then you'll make money consistently, definitely. However, to maintain that though on a day-to-day basis takes a lot of work, because it takes awareness in order to do that, if that makes sense. So same thing, Eric. Your role for this weekend is to do the same. Like, you need to check it out and have part and see what's causing you to procrastinate or to be lazy. There's different factors affecting you why you're not following your own set of rules. That's what causes either depression or a stress state. Um, Maybe there's something there that you're not being fulfilled, and you need to find that. First, the fulfillment comes from within you, though. Happiness comes from within you, not from your outside environment. Hope that makes sense there, Eric.
Yep.
Cool. Hey, Jared, how you doing?
Hey Ray, doing well. How are you?
I'm good. So, how did you do in terms of your performance this week, Jared?
I did well. I probably 7 out of 10.
Nice. And what worked for you this week?
Um, Making sure I have the appropriate stop losses. Yeah, it wasn't. Uh, let's see. I I wasn't behind really on checking time frames.
Mm-hmm.
So being timely.
Nice.
Yeah, what we talked about last week.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that's about it.
Nice. And what didn't work for you this week?
Um, it would be I don't know. I kind of talked to Eric a few
Mhm.
times about like kind of treating trading like chess to
Yeah.
find the certain setups and things like that. And I didn't really trade like that this week.
Okay.
So I kind of fell victim to one pretty bad retail stop hunt that
Okay.
happened.
Oh, so
So
you got
I guess
caught.
it'd be yeah, lack of meticulousness or
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. That's a famous word for today.
Yeah,
Or for
either
the
lack
week.
of meticulousness or lack of like proactive thinking.
Yes. So cool. Very nice. Anything else there, Jared?
Um, no, that's about it.
All right. Awesome. Well, since the keyword for today is the lack of meticulousness, this applied for everybody, including myself. So you know what to do then in terms of your solution to the problem that you do have this week is to create, number one, is the self-reflection part of it. Find the root source of the meticulousness or the lack of something, and then create a step-by-step process as a form of awareness um, in order for you to follow for next week. Funny thing is, I have a whiteboard, a big whiteboard in front of me, and my own, basically my own office. And what's in front of me is there, what is your purpose in trading? And I stated to make money. So who do you have to be to make money? All those words: focus, responsible, abundant, discipline, meticulous, integrity. Guess what? I wasn't disciplined or meticulous as well this week. I'm not gonna lie. That's what it was. Um, the lack of responsibility. I was at a profit. I didn't take my profit because my expectation is that it's gonna go further. Hence the word expectation. And guess what? The euro dollar went back up. It dropped, made money, right? I made money and then came back up. So the question is, why am I fighting it? Why am I not going with it? And if I look in terms of my past results for the, like, say, even last month or 2 months ago, I didn't have a losing trade. Why? Because I was with the market. I was with the trend. Because I was following and abiding by the rules of the market. So it led to not just the expectation, but also the righteousness that I'm right. That's my big thing. That's my nemesis, is righteousness. Um, and that's something that I keep working on in terms of the ego of righteousness. All right. Well, do you have any questions for me? Queries, challenges?
I have one question, Reynaldo. When
Yes, sir.
we review the dollar index, um, sometimes we found multiple opportunities. For example, like an entry
Yes.
happening on the Swiss franc and the euro at the same time. And we look at the dollar index thinking, okay, it's pretty much in a demand area. So why do we take a position on each pair instead of taking it all in just one?
For like the euro, for example, and based on the dollar index, why is it?
Yeah,
Is that the question? Why just one?
yeah, like if we're gonna take a position, if we are looking at the dollar index and demand, right,
Mm-hmm.
and we are gonna
So,
buy or sell whatever on the USD and the USD Swiss franc, for
uh-huh.
example, and the USD and the Euro USD. Um,
Yes.
so why do we uh, take a position on both pairs instead of just taking a position in one pair with double the uh, risk?
Ah, that's a very good question. Well, my rule is that maximum for me is two. Um, other than that, I will just take the highest probability of which one will work better. But that's by individually based. I don't take so, so based on the trade signals, I just put it in there based on what the entries or what the methodology basically stated during that time. But out of the, say, if there's six, I only going to choose two. If the third position, it has to be a different base. So I cannot use the same one. In other words, on the third position, it has to be like a yen trade or something, or a cross
Mhm.
pair. Then that's different. So My philosophy as well is that I would rather focus on 1 and 2. For me, it's like fighting. If I'm doing stand-up fighting and I want to protect myself and I have 2 attackers, I know that I can protect myself with 2. But if I'm now fighting against 10, the odds that I'm going to get bitten is highly probable. I'll just run, right? There's no point fighting all 10 because you have to focus on those 10 enemies that you have to defend yourself against from. So in trading, it's the same thing for me. I don't have more than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trades. I don't do that, Eric. So those are just my rules. You can create your own if you wish, but to answer your
So even
question,
if I have like, so even if I have like 10 signals, in your case, you will pick only 2 for USD trade, for example,
correct.
or a dollar index.
Yes. I will find the highest probability. Like, say, for example, the Kiwi kept dropping, but the Aussie kept going up against the US dollar, but the Kiwi wasn't performing, right? So all these things you have to keep an eye and keep a look at it. Like nice for the dollar. So the dollar CAD goes up and down because of oil. It hasn't been following what it's supposed to be. Euro, on the other hand, I will always choose the euro if I'm dealing with the dollar index because the euro has a lot of weighting based on geometric weighted mean from the dollar index.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it all depends on
Okay.
the odds. The odds for me plays a big role.
Alrighty.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks,
See you
Ray.
guys.
Have
Have
a good
fun.
Thank you.
weekend, guys.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.